Hello everyone, Sarah Lane from Disrupt TV, right in the middle of Startup Alley at TechCrunch Disrupt San Francisco. I am here with Ali from Chariot. Now Ali, you have a fantastic last name, but I want you to pronounce it so that I don't get it wrong.
Sure, it's Vahabzadeh. So
good.
Sarah, how was your day?
Vahabzadeh.
Perfect, that's how you remember it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Chariot is one of these concepts that people in San Francisco kind of understand because getting around is tough. A lot of people commute better part of an hour on various highways that are clogged. Yeah. But for somebody who's not familiar with your business and how it works, walk me through it from the beginning.
Sure, so Chariot is a network of crowd-funded commuter routes that are faster, more reliable, more comfortable than mass transit, and much more affordable than ride-sharing alternatives and driving. So from the very beginning, you land on our website, and you tell us your home and work address, and we are basically crowdsourcing your commute. We already have 7 routes, so we have commuter routes in some of the most popular commuter corridors in the city.
So that would be going down south on Highway 101, for example.
Well, it would actually be in the city, like the Chestnut Bullet is our flagship route coming from the Marina District to the Financial District, exactly.
Right.
One of our latest ones is the Richmond Racer, coming in from the inner Richmond to FIDI, SOMA, and Caltrain. So we have 7 of these routes.
All within the city limits.
All within the city, yeah. And so once a route gets crowdsourced to a certain level, we then go back to these users, 150, 200 of them, and say, okay, now that you've voted for this route, let's say the Outer Sunset to SOMA, we will launch this route once we get X number of sales of passes. So once we get a number of credit cards.
And how many would you need?
So it depends actually on the route. So the longer the route, the more expensive it is for us to operate.
Right.
And the shorter, the inverse is true as well. So our last 2 routes have actually been not just crowdsourced, but also crowdfunded. That's really exciting for us. The Richmond Racer, as well as the Pacific Rush, which is Pacific Heights down to downtown. What that means is that we can launch routes a lot more economically and be able to launch routes much quicker in the near future.
So when you say crowdsourced and crowdfunded, where does Chariot come in? Are you just supplying the bus that the people will sit on? You know, how does everybody work together?
Like, unlike a lot of the alternatives out there, Chariot is completely vertically integrated. So what that means is that we actually hire the driver. They're a W-2 employee. We lease the vehicle, the 15-passenger van. They're brand new Ford Transit wagons. And we also procure the insurance, parking, and gasoline for the vehicle as well.
So this is sort of like if a bunch of people who lived in the Outer Sunset, and for anyone not familiar with San Francisco, that's way out by the beach, it's pretty far.
Sure.
And the public transportation in the city is not amazing. So it's sort of like if a bunch of people lived out there and thought, God, I wish we just had a great way to comfortably get ourselves to the generally the same place, closer to where we all work, it would be a lot harder for them to figure it out on their own. Chariot is kind of like the solution that already exists.
Exactly. Imagine what's out there in the market right now. You have a affordable mass transit option, which at times can be reliable, but we know that mass transit, especially during commuter hours, all over the country is challenged because of peak demand. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have a very, very expensive point-to-point solution. And even ride sharing out there, it's not what you get, it's not the $6 or $7 alternative.
Right.
So because of the fact that we have 15-passenger vans, we can actually operate the service much more affordably and get people downtown to work 95% of the time, anywhere between $3 and $5 a ride. That's really tough to beat.
It's tough to beat for sure. I take a fair amount of taxis, Ubers, Lyfts.
How do you get to work?
I've done it all. Well, I walk because I'm lucky enough to live really close to the TechCrunch office, but I know that I'm in the minority.
Sure.
I mean, a lot of my coworkers at TechCrunch, they're coming from the East Bay, or they're coming from the Outer Sunset, or they're coming from a variety of places. So this makes a lot of sense. I would think it would be a challenge to convince people that they want, everybody likes a cheap solution, but they also like the convenience of being like, I want someone to pick me up right here, and I want to go exactly where I want to go. So how does the discovery part of Chariot work? Because I think when you explain it, people go, great idea. But they have to be convinced that it's not going to disrupt their life too much.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we have a record number of signups, and actually today, Sarah, we are launching a new version of the Chariot app.
All right.
It's our first native version of the iOS app. We've been using phone gap technology up to now.
Okay.
And for the first time, Chariot customers can actually reserve their seat ahead of time, thereby avoiding actually overcrowding issues, which we've had at peak times.
Or somebody that just really thought they were going to sit in the back, and then somebody else had their seat. Is it like reserving?
It's not assigned seating yet. We'll get to there at some point. It's not like a plane, but now you could look at a menu of Chariots that are coming within 30 minutes and actually pick as you're walking out your door or as you're grabbing your coffee, pick which Chariot to choose, grab a seat. And you'll also know if that Chariot is full, so the app will disallow you from choosing that particular ride. And so we've also migrating to an ETA system, so it provides a really accurate estimated time of arrival. And so that's really exciting for our users to now be able to not only have that, eliminate that fear of the unknown, is that Chariot actually full, but actually get very, very precise arrival time.
I have to ask you, because this is an alternative to public transportation, if I've ever heard one. What are your thoughts on municipal transit when there are solutions like this that just make more sense for people and their modern lives? I mean, the taxi industry is really in trouble because there's private solutions that are just better. So what is the landscape look for cities where public transportation is kind of lackluster?
Yeah, so Sarah, in February 2014, I lived in the Mission, but I went back to the marina where I lived for 3 months. I left because I couldn't get on the darn bus. If I took the other bus, it took an hour just to get to Soma. So I moved to the Mission and I actually bought a bicycle, and like you, had a very comfortable commute. But not a lot of people had that. So when I returned to my old stomping grounds, I noticed that people couldn't even get on the bus. 7:30, 7:45, 8:15, literally 4 or 5 buses were passing them by. To the point, Sarah, where people were actually walking backstream on Chestnut Street to try to get on the route earlier in the route. You've also seen this in the inner Sunset and Cole Valley with the N Judah, people actually walking back Carl Street.
It's just very inefficient.
Well, I tell you what, it's tough. The municipal transit agencies, whether it's San Francisco, New York, Chicago, they have a really, really tough time. Why? Because at 8 o'clock in the morning or at 5:30 p.m., everyone's trying to use the same resource. And for the agencies to add that marginal train or bus is super expensive because they don't necessarily need that bus at 6 in the morning or at 2 p.m. or at Sunday afternoon. So there's this balance, and what we've been recognized by the Board of Supervisors, there's 11 or 12 of the supervisors that are really behind us, is that, hey, Chariot is here to help out at those really, really tough pain points twice daily during the city's commute.
Well, hopefully you and the City of San Francisco can work together to make it harmonious for all of us, but we appreciate the fact that you're doing good work, getting people where they need to go, and thank you so much for joining us at Disrupt TV.
Sarah. And we couldn't do it we can't do it on our own, so we're actually recruiting a lot of people and hiring at Chariot.
Here.
So
all right.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Ali, have a wonderful time at Disrupt, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Sarah.